Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for your support. Today I'm going to be talking about a groundbreaking album from 1976, and that is Jean-Michel Jarre's Oxygene. I have 3 copies here I'm going to talk about. There are minor differences between them, but this is really about this music and the impact it made on the public at large and influenced so many other artists in its wake. Jean-Michel Jarre had an excellent career following this album. It really put him on the map. And although other people were doing this type of music at the time, namely some of the German composers like Klaus Schulze and Tangerine Dream, this really got the public's consciousness. And I'll talk all about it in just a moment. Before I get started, a couple things. I've recently found out that the YouTube algorithm really likes the thumbs up button. The more people hit it, the more people will see my video. So, if this is so easy to do, just go below and hit the thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it, and maybe it'll really boost this video into the stratosphere, into the oxygen. So thank you for doing that. Also, I like round numbers, and a nice round number and date are kind of coinciding, and I really would like that to happen. It's 10,000 subscribers and end of year. So let's try to get there. If you're not subscribed yet, please hit like, subscribe, and notification. If you're already subscribed, send the link to a friend that might enjoy the channel. Maybe they'll subscribe as well. So that's really, really helpful. You have no idea how much that helps the channel. It really does. And it's so easy to do and free for you. So thank you so much for doing that. So as I said, this came out in '76. The synthesizers are considered primitive by today's standard, but he did a marvelous job putting this together. He plays, for those that are interested, the ARP synthesizer, the AKS synthesizer, the VCS3 synthesizer, the RMI harmonic synthesizer, the Farfisa organ, the Eminent, the Mellotron, and the rhythming computer. In this album, he creates a soundscape that's very, very much evocative of this image, which is fascinating. And this really kind of sold the album as well. When you saw that, you were like, oh wow, what could this album be about? It looks like it's about Earth or the moon or space, some dark things going on, a lot of air, a lot of mystery. And I always found that image to be very evocative of the music contained within it. Although it goes through 6 movements, and they're kind of symphonic in nature, and each one carries a theme, and sometimes the theme is repeated in a different way. Some are just space music with atmosphere, air, mysterious goings on coming from everywhere in the soundstage. Others have a throbbing beat behind them. Some have even a dance beat. And this is so influential. This influenced so many electronic music artists and even dance music and beyond. Its importance can't be overstated. I made some notes just on the various movements. I don't know if it's necessary to talk about each one in particular, but a couple of notes about each one. The first movement is dark and mysterious. It establishes that space sound. It's like you're floating in space. It's very airy sounding, and I don't mean that in an audiophile way. I mean, it feels like air is circulating around you. Very, very interesting. A great way to start the album. It picks up in the second part with a kind of a throbbing underbeat and more significant goings on in the soundstage. It's a totally artificial soundscape, obviously, but there are things always coming out. I always think of them like shooting stars or, rockets going by or something. It's very, very evocative of space. There's a rising and falling kind of rhythm going through that, like a wave. And it's very, very interesting and sounds great. That burst into a hypnotic beat and more intense events happening, rumblings. It sounds like the earth is sort of moving, rumbling, and more things flying through the air. It's very easy to get swept up in this, and now you have a beat behind it that's very interesting. It develops with variations on that first theme. You'll hear that kind of repeated a little bit between each movement. And the bass really anchors that part. So the bass is really important in this album to me. It gives it gravity, and it's very, very important to get that right. Unfortunately, most of these do, so that's good news. When I talk about the difference between pressings, they're going to be very minor, honestly, because this is music that's totally constructed artificially. It's not like there's real instruments that you can judge how they sound against each other. But I can give you an impression of the overall impact of each pressing. The third movement ends with a mellotron chorus, and that was really nice. I love that sound. I've heard it from Genesis, from Yes, other artists, King Crimson, and it's so majestic sounding when you hear those voices sort of like floating in space. I love that part of that, and that ends the side. It closes with an eerie march, kind of an eerie march sound, and then fades out to the sound of birds. So that's side one, and you will be taken on a journey with that side. Side two opens with what I think was a single. They actually released a part of this as a single in my recollection, and it's a very accessible, percolating beat with a nice melody and enough atmospherics to suggest what the album is all about. That's part four. Part five starts with a delicate floating section, very, very space-like. And then a percolating beat comes in, and there's a new theme, a completely new theme, and it ends with Earth or the universe breathing. So it has like this inhale and exhale sound that's quite stunning. And fourth side, the sixth movement just closes out in a more peaceful manner, and it's just a stunning achievement. He captured this magic again on his follow-up album Oxygene, but this is really something that everyone's got to hear at one point. And those bells you hear, that's my doorbell. It's not the album. There's no bells on the album. So the Polydor pressing was recommended on the Absolute Sound disc. Surprisingly, they never changed their recommendation to one of the other pressings, the Japanese or the MFSL Anadisc. And it really does sound wonderful. And the pressing is very quiet. Really, this comes down to which has the quietest vinyl, because the sound on each one is really similar. A couple have a little bit better bass, and that's important. So the original common Polydor pressing is highly recommended. It was recommended by HP, and I'm recommending it too. It sounds great. I picked up a Japanese pressing of it. It had quiet vinyl, which was great, and it does sound pretty similar to this American pressing. It may have a little less bass, but it's so minor that I can highly recommend this one too. This is Mobile Fidelity's original master recording. This was done, it comes in a gatefold too, which is nice. It shows him working on things. Wow, he's a handsome guy too. There he is. This is a limited edition Anadisc 200. So this is sort of in the mid stage of Mobile Fidelity. It wasn't the JVC Super Vinyl era. It wasn't the current era. It was a special time when they were doing something called Anadisc 200. So they were doing 200 gram pressings, one of the first companies to do them. The pressings were good, not the best, like not super vinyl or anything like that, but they were pretty good. And some of these are really, really desirable, these Anadiscs, and this is one of them. Oxygene also came out on this imprint. There are several others from that group that are good too, but this is recommended too. The only thing is this is extremely expensive. Like, it's in demand. I remember I checked Discogs recently, and it was near the top of my, the top quarter of my most valuable albums. So Oxygene as well. But any way you get this album, and I could recommend the CD as well. The CD is a perfect way to listen to this album because there will not be any noise whatsoever, just music. And for this type of music, which has many quiet parts, that might be important to you. I think that's the way I first heard this. It was on CD, and I always loved it. I always loved it because there was no interruption of ticks and pops or anything like that. But if you get a clean original, a clean Japanese, or if you want to splurge for the original master recording, you're going to have a great demonstration-worthy album, and one that stands up to repeated listenings and is a classic of the genre. So thank you for watching this episode on Oxygene. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Have a great day.